Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show. I'm Jeff Heggie from Jeff Heggie Coaching and my co-host Heidi Anderson from ECI Secure Pay. We're excited today to have Jenn Wynder with us and to talk about her exciting stories of the things she's been doing as an entrepreneur and the things she's got in the works. She's from Southern Alberta. She's got a business in Eastern Canada that we're going to hear all about that is pretty interesting and has some exciting things happening, and she's developing some really cool things. So Jenn, welcome, and I will turn it over to you for a little bit just to tell us about what you have, and then we'll get into more of the story of where things are going.
All right, thank you. I do live in Southern Alberta 6 months out of the year, and then I do the 5-day trip across Canada where I arrive at my campground. My husband and I own a campground. We have 12 tree houses, 6 cottages, and a whole bunch of RV and tent sites. So I run that for 6 months, and then I'm back and forth on that. We've been doing that for about 3 years, and it's been a lot of fun.
So your winter home is where you are right now, and your summer home is where I've never heard of a campground that has tree houses. Can you? I'm really curious. I'd love to see what it looks like, but tell me about them.
And share the name of it and share where it's at as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, it's Miramichi Treehouse and Camping. Miramichi is a town in about the middle of New Brunswick, closer to the east. We're about 10 minutes from Miramichi in a tiny little, like, in the country, and we're about 10 minutes from the ocean as well. So we're not right on the ocean, sadly, but we're close. Our tree houses, they're pretty. They're like what you would think a tree house would be. They have the beds in there. Some of them do have bathrooms. Most of them have electricity. We have one that's your totally unplug, get back to nature tree house. They are a lot of fun. They're kind of magical, which is why it's worth doing the 5-day trip across the country for us. We're gonna at the end make sure people know how to contact you and whatnot. But just for our listeners, right off the bat, spell Miramichi for them so they can find you on Instagram. It's Miramichi Treehouse. Put me on the spot on that, hey?
I can spell it. It's in front of me if you want.
It's Miramichi. Miramichi.
Oh, just like it sounds.
Yes, that's right.
and so on Instagram, it's Miramichi Treehouse. You can find her on that. So excellent. Yeah. Why? You're from Southern Alberta. Why do you buy a treehouse campground in Eastern Canada?
Well, the story goes, I have 3 children, and they're now all in their 20s. But about 5 years ago, when they were getting lives of their own and going and doing, and we also we're foster parents, and so we'd had a sibling group that had gone home, which was great for them. I mean, it was good to reunite the family, but we were sort of in that limbo. My kids were all dispersing and going on adventures, and I remember one evening making supper, and it was my husband and I took out 2 baked potatoes and had a really good cry. And then we bought a campground. It's not quite exactly like that, but
you took the empty nest syndrome to a whole nother extreme, right?
I did. Yeah, I needed an adventure.
I think that's awesome. I love the fact that you foster. I used to be a CASA and have worked a lot with foster kids, and it's really near and dear to my heart as well. But how did you find this place, or how did it find you?
Well, I had sort of had the idea. Well, where to begin? The campground is wonderful. After the whole baked potato thing, I was also one day listening to a podcast, I don't remember who, and wrote out this whole plan, and it just sort of fell onto the paper. And it was about connecting families with nature, art, spirit, and stories. And we've kind of tweaked that to nature, creativity, spirit, and stories. The word art terrifies some people. So we've changed that up a little bit. And so I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a place? And I'm kind of really good at coming up with ideas, and I write them all out, and I don't share them with my sweet husband until I can't not share it because it drives he gets a little crazy. He's more of our logical brain, and I'm the let's create. So this one, we were actually camping, and we were with friends, and we had children with us, and they were out and they had played outside all day. And that night around the campfire, we were talking about how wonderful it is that they were able just to go and play and be and get dirty. And so I brought up this whole idea that I'd had, that it's so important, because I'd done some research and still am doing research. It's an amazing thing. It's amazing the information that's out there on the effects on the brain and on our well-being of being in nature. And this was really the first time, I'm telling everybody, but it was really the first time that my husband had heard it as well. And so on the way home, we got talking about it, and I said, this is kind of a dream I have, and wouldn't it be great to have a place to do this? And he didn't shut it down. And so by the time I got home, we did some research, and this campground just happened to come up. We looked in Alberta, we looked closer to home, which makes more sense, but there was just nothing quite as magical as tree houses, for sure.
Now, how did you guys do through the COVID summer? I mean, was that a good place for people to go to still be kind of like socially distanced and still have fun?
Yeah. We had an amazing year. We were so grateful. It was mostly, well, first it was everyone, like people from New Brunswick, and then they opened up what they called the Atlantic bubble, which was New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. And we had a very busy year. I went out a little bit early because they were talking about closing borders, and I needed to get even the provincial borders. So I left early, not knowing whether we'd even open or be able to, that they'd allow us to open, but we had a very successful year. It was wonderful. Right. And I think people feel pretty comfortable camping because it is a lot of their own things. And I mean, the cleaning and there was definitely more protocol that we had to follow, but we had a very successful year. It was great.
So what I want you to talk about, and Jenn talks about, she's the creative one and she likes to create these things. And I can attest to that. I work with her and I ask her to put something together and I expect something back. And all of a sudden I open this book and oh my goodness, she trained her mind into this, and it's awesome. She has such a brilliant mind when it comes to these things. So what I want you to do, Jenn, I want you to explain your vision, the things that you have. So I guess, first of all, start and talk and share the experience people can have by coming to your campground, and, talk about the rocks, talk about those things, but then share your vision of what's coming together, because that's what I think people can really get excited about, of what you're creating, and it's really cool.
Okay. Well, besides the treehouse, my hope is that when families come to the campground, that they create magical memories. That's kind of what we want to help them build. And camping in our own family has been an amazing thing, but then to have the tree houses adds a new part of that. But the very first year, we had fairies show up, and they left little glass stones all over the campground, and we're not quite sure how this all came to be, but so every day the kids can find these little stones. We call them fairy stones, and they're hidden all throughout the whole campground. And they can be on the ground or on the trails and in the trees. And so when the kids find them, they can bring them to the office, and then they trade them in for prizes. And it has been astonishing to me, the popularity of it and how much the kids love it. And not just the kids. I call it miraculous. We've had, what started out as just, let's see if this we have families that are out, and we have dads that are out 7 o'clock in the morning with their coffee up and down, no kids in sight, but they're looking for fairy stones. And then I think it brings these families together. And I've had mothers come in tears and just say, you have no idea. Well, but they, where siblings have shared with other siblings, and they're just like, this never happens. And it's been miraculous. It's been amazing to watch. So that's definitely something that happens every year. We do have fairy houses. We have a fairy garden, And we've had families come in and just say that they offered their children the options where they had been to us before, and there's other places, campgrounds with water slides and huge activities, and the kids wanted to come back and look for fairy stones, which just proves to me that, you know, that family time and reconnecting is hugely needed and a wonderful thing.
That's brilliant.
I think that's one of the most important aspects of what you've shared with me, is that family time, that connecting. And, you know, you've even talked about just getting them off their devices, you know, going, whether it's the stones or something else, it's that connection and getting them away from devices, away from technology, all those different things.
Yes. Yeah, we do have internet. It's country Wi-Fi at the campground, and we don't even announce it on our website because it's just that bad. But our complaints have gone way down because they're outside looking at, they're not on devices. So it's been a really good thing that way. So which ties me into the whole reason that I really wanted to have the campground in the first place. And that is to, I eventually, when I'm starting to run, and we're still working on the name, but right now we affectionately call it Snazz, which is Spirit, Nature, Art, and Stories. So those 4 things are so needed, and there many of them we miss out on with school and all of those kinds of things, where they've taken out, you know, recesses are shorter. You know, we don't talk about spiritual things a lot out and about in the public. And then just knowing our story with our foster children and myself. I mean, we've all had our own experiences, but just realizing how important our stories are, and that we know them, and that we are true to them, and that we can be proud of them, no matter what they are, the ups and the downs and all of those things. We've really learned that stories are important as well. So the next step, and what I'm working on right now, is we've put together a kit that has a backpack and water bottle, journal. It has some creative supplies that we're putting together so that people will be able to order them, and then have weekly emails and some support in reconnecting their family through those 4 aspects. And yeah, that's kind of what we're working on. And then eventually, hopefully, having some retreats at the campground where families can come and unplug and again reconnect on an even deeper level. So
talk more about the program with the backpacks and stuff, and who it's for, and you know, just how it works. You know, is it for someone specifically coming to the campground? Is it specifically for something else? Like, just explain what it is. And
okay, we're still working out the details. Right now, we're looking for 25 families that will sign up for the initial retreat, or 3 retreats. Like, there'll be 3 different weekends. So 25 families would sign up, contact us. They'd have to fill out an application so that we are, you know, just to tell about themselves why they want to do this. And then they would receive in the mail their kit with the backpack and directions. Then they'd get a weekly email from us. We'd have a Facebook group as well. And then we'd have some one-on-one contact as well over either Zoom or phone calls. And then it's for families that want to reconnect. I know through COVID, we've really found, I think in general, there's been lots of crazy that has happened, but I think in general, we've found that the slowing down, pulling back, and that time that we've been able to spend with families has been important. And so this will help build upon that, so that we can have that we have that sacred time with our families. So yeah, so they get in the kit. They'd also get some some different information on the why, the how, the when, where, those sorts of things.
So this isn't tied to the camp. This is something separate from the camp.
It is that, yes, but then in the end, so what we're hoping in this first group is that they will enjoy those kits, do it for 3 months, and then there would be that opportunity to come and stay in a treehouse so that we could meet together as a group. And we're working with the details a little bit because of COVID and what that looks like and how that's going to work. Ideally, that would be what we would love, is to have these groups, have these families come together, talk about what's working, what's not working, and then also have a little more in-depth time where we'd have lots of different activities and resources that would that would build upon what they've done at home, and then also create further that plan so that when they go home, they can continue it, and it just becomes part of what their family does. So that we're taking that time to unplug a bit. I mean, I have devices, our family has devices. I'm not anti technology at all, but I do think that we need to make sure that they're tools for us, and we're not being used by it, that we're using.
There needs to be some balance in life, I think, and that's what it's like, yeah, those tools are great to have, but when you get completely dependent on, I remember we took my son, who's now 29, when he was 13, to Lake Arrowhead in California, and he was so mad the whole time because he couldn't text with his friends, because same thing, it was like there was internet, but you had to go sit in one place, and in like this little cafe or something, and the rest of the place didn't have it. And we're like, no, we brought you here to hike and spend time with the family, and he wasn't a happy camper.
No.
And so maybe some fairy stones would have helped him. But
maybe. And I'm sure that we will run into that. That is definitely some of the things I'm looking into, because there is that flip side of technology where it can be an addiction, and it can be, there can be really some real serious reactions to taking that away. Right. So that's also part of what we're looking into and trying to problem solve a little bit as well. Yeah.
So what has been your favorite part of this entrepreneurial journey?
Definitely the connection with the people. Like, if I'm looking just at the campground, the fairy stones have been my most favorite part. Having the kids come in, having the moms come in, or the parents, the families come in, has been my favorite part that way. But it's also been being able to use my imagination and take, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 24 years, and I've loved every moment of it. Well, most moments of it, but being able to take that and what I've learned, what I know, and to expand that and to do something else and kind of do something that's mine.
Are you considering writing a book about this, or it just seems like it would be just a really good book or little movie or
that would be fun. Actually, my children have encouraged me and think that I need to absolutely write a book, but I don't know that I'm quite there yet. It's an idea though.
Yeah, it's like you can just kind of like blog your experiences and then pull those all together into a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's hear about that. Tell us about your blog.
I've just actually got my blog up and going. It's lovemymess.com, which just sort of sums up my life.
Love my mess?
Love my mess.
Mess. Okay.
All together. Love my mess, because I love my mess. And I do love to live messy in a messy way. Like I'm kind of out there. So, so I've just started and I'm just getting it up and going, and we'll be talking about all of our adventures that we've had, kind of looking back a little bit and looking forward for sure. And on there, we'll also have, that's where you would go for more information on the kits. And because, that's where you'll find all of that information. And then there'll be a way, the blog is where I talk more about our adventures at the campground, but we also have the campground website, which is Miramichi Treehouse, or campingmiramichi.com is if you're looking at coming camping with us, that would be where you'd head for that.
If they'll let us come back across the border sometime soon.
That's actually what I was going to touch on next. Things are obviously different during COVID, but this is an opportunity for families from anywhere. Once things open up again and we can travel across borders and stuff, it doesn't matter where you are. This is a great opportunity to get out and have a great experience with your family and nature in a pretty unique setting.
Now, are there other things near there, like mountain biking, hiking, that kind of stuff, or is it kind of isolated? What else is near there?
The Miramichi River the history is amazing. And so Miramichi has been built, of course, around that river that it runs right out into the ocean. There's salt water in there. so there's kayaking and canoeing. There are biking trails. We're about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes from some beautiful waterfalls, from other, like there's Mount Carlton. There's other places where you can go and hike and beautiful views. And then you're 20 minutes away from Kuchipakwak National Park, which is one of our favorites. And that's, where you're on the ocean, roaring water coming in, that sort of thing. And it's beautiful.
Say that name once again.
Yeah.
Kuchipakwak.
Easy for you to say. Because you've been saying it all your life, probably. Kuchipakwak.
Kuchipakwak. It's not quack, but it's whack.
Quack. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No Q in there. And then it just being in the Maritimes, you can be to Prince Edward Island in about 2.5 hours. You can be to Nova Scotia and like Halifax in about 5. We're fairly close when, compared to others.
Sounds like a road trip to me. I'm as soon as hopefully next summer.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to visit for sure. Yeah.
No, it's definitely, and as a Canadian, I'm ashamed to say that I've never been to Eastern Canada, but then my daughter just spent 18 months up there and seeing the pictures and everything, and then connecting with Jenn and seeing what she's got going on. It's definitely a beautiful area that.
Yeah. And my husband's from Vancouver, and he's never been to Eastern Canada either. So yeah, being something neutral.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it really is.
So what has been, Jenn, what has been one of your biggest challenges and learning experiences as an entrepreneur?
Not taking on everything, which I'm not so good at, but especially our first year opening was, I call that my deer in the headlights year. I thought I knew what I was getting into and really didn't. And it was a huge learning curve. So dealing with employees, and then we had amazing employees. We really did. But me learning how to be the boss, it wasn't really what I had to learn how to do that. I still am learning how to do that, actually. And then, any kind of complaints I took right to heart and crumbled. And so learning but to deal with them and try to fix them and help any way that I could, but not to, crumble and be a puddle on the floor. That was a hard year for me to learn how to do that as well. But but it has gotten better. This year was probably one of our best, both with our capacity, how many people we've had come, but just feeling like we kind of know what we're doing. So that's a good thing for sure.
Very cool. Now, when people are listening to this and they start looking at the pictures and thinking about what this can do as a getaway, what it can do as for their family and stuff, they're going to be amazed by what they see on Instagram and when they Google it or whatever. But then they're going to be like, okay, I live in California. Where would they fly into?
We're about an hour and 20 minutes from Moncton, and they have.
And that's in New Brunswick for
that's in
all
New Brunswick.
Americans.
Yes, that's right.
Even New Brunswick is kind of like.
Yeah.
And that's in Canada.
Yeah, got that part.
That's right. Hey, if we can educate that, it'd be great.
Yeah.
So we are about an hour and 20 minutes from the airport, give or take, maybe an hour and 15. There's also there's an airport in Bathurst, New Brunswick, which is north, and it's about an hour north. But there's only one airline that comes into there, and so it's a little more limiting. And I'm not exactly sure with all the changes that have happened. I think it's still Air Canada right now, but I'd have to check into that. But anyway, yeah. So there's those two. We're an hour from Bathurst, and we're an hour and 15 from Moncton.
And then you said you also have parking spots for people can bring like their Winnebago or whatever, and there's hookups and everything if they need all that stuff.
Yes, yeah. We have 30 amp sites, and with the 3 services, and we have about 25 of those that are available, and then we have close to 10 sites as well. And then we also have the 6 cottages. So cottages are all made up, just like if you're at a hotel, basically you bring your food and your clothing. The tree houses, you bring your bedding. We do rent out bedding because we do have people that fly in. Last year we had people from Germany and England and France, and so then we can provide that bedding. That's an option that's on there because nobody's coming with their sleeping bags on the airplane. So we can do that. And then again, you'd have to rent. We don't rent RVs, but you can rent them from different locations and bring them
that are nearby.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. But you'd have, just checking into that and making sure that you have that figured out before you arrive. Cause I know that, that is pretty big. So yeah.
How many slots do you have for RVs?
We have just over 30, but we have 8 of those that are seasonal. So they're filled all season. And then we have just over 20 that are available all summer.
So this is a pretty big place.
What's your land mass?
We have 200 acres. A lot of that hasn't been developed yet, but I mean, we do have some walking trails in the back for sure, but there's definitely room for growth. But
are there more tree houses to come? I mean, are there more trees that would support a tree house?
Yes, that's our hope. Right now we're renovating cottages. So we have 2 cottages that we've renovated so far that now have air conditioning and heat, which is a bonus. And then we'll do another one in the spring, possibly too. But once those are done, then the plan is to expand in a treehouse. I would like to do one with a kitchen in it because our tree houses don't have kitchens, but I haven't checked into the logistics of that. But yeah, to build and to grow, and it would be great to have some new adventures.
So November 1st is kind of an important date. Tell us what's happened.
We've just opened up our 2021 reservations. So, and we do book up. Our tree houses for weekends usually are booked by end of March, middle of April, and then the weeks start to fill in as well. So booking earlier is best. I know it's hard right now with COVID to be able to do that. We have been doing full refunds if it's COVID related, if they couldn't come because of the zones being closed, those sorts of things. But
right. Well, okay, now, so this is the important stuff. 1, where do they go to find that? Repeat your website again so they can look at reservations. Repeat any social media, your blog, all those things. Where do we find out more about this?
Okay, our website for the campground is campingmiramichi.com, and that's MIRAMICHI, that's miramichi.com. And then you can also find us on Instagram at Miramichi Treehouse. You can find my blog at lovemymess.com, and that's a little bit more of the behind the scenes and who we are, that kind of information. And that will also have the links to Snazz, to the backpacks, to those adventures. And then I'm also Jenn Wynder on Instagram, and that's WYNDER, Jenn Wynder.
With 2 N's.
With 2 N's, yes.
Oh, 2 N's. That's important.
And the link in her bio at Miramichi Treehouse on Instagram has the link to their Camping Miramichi as well. So you can find that there. But thank you. You've got some exciting things coming along, and the whole thing you've got going with Snazz and the backpacks, and I know the future stuff you have with the retreats and stuff. You guys want to follow her. She's got some really cool things happening and really cool values and things pulled into it that can really be beneficial for families as a whole. So thanks for being with us today, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.